Hello, everyone. Jean and I will be talking about finding joy during stressful times today. We are from Colorado Spirit. Colorado Spirit is a crisis response program in response to COVID-19. We serve Jefferson, Gilpin, and Clear Creek counties. We provide individual support, resource linkage, and brief counseling, among other various services. So today it will be Jean and I presenting. Jean, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Louie. I am Jean Bogar. I am the older adult wellness specialist with Colorado Spirit, Jefferson Center for Mental Health, as Louie mentioned. Go ahead, Louie.
Hi, everyone. I am Louie Pinkerton. I am the outreach specialist with Colorado Spirit at Jefferson Center. Just briefly, we are using information based from our previous presentations on resiliency coping. We collaborate with other CCPs, such as Lutheran Family Services, specifically Haley Sanner. And then we've also have some images from Instagram from the Psychology Mum. So for those of you at home, let's just take a moment to check in and be mindful. Taking a deep breath, kind of evaluating where you're feeling today. Number one says that you're thriving, you're feeling ready to help others. And then it kind of goes down the continuum. 3 is something we might not recognize. You look fine on the outside, but inside you don't know how you're doing. And then it goes to your little leaves are kind of drying out, you're struggling, and then all the way to being burnt out. It's okay to kind of cycle through during the day, and you might start off feeling like a 2, and then at the end of the day might be at a 4. Take a second to acknowledge that, and with that, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So, before we can think about finding joy and moving forward, we have to give ourselves some time to, feel how, feel the emotions that come up for us during a stressful time, specifically, with the pandemic. Acknowledge those feelings and give them space. Grieve any loss that we've experienced. It can be, from losing jobs, losing family members, losing experiences with others, and honor those feelings and honor yourself, and be gracious with yourself. Everyone has felt some sort of loss during the past 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And moving forward, you don't just wake up and you're feeling great. You're not, it is lots of ups and downs. And as saying during the mindful moment, you can feel differently during the day. And all progress is subjective. It's up to you and how you move forward. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Jean?
I just agree, Louie. You're so right, because I would like to be able to just say, okay, I'm doing this, and I'm there. But it really is, like you say, it's kind of backwards and forwards. Some moments at the beginning of the day, I'm feeling burnt out, and then I gain energy and I'm feeling a little more refreshed. So really, like you're saying, go easy on yourself and just know where you are, acknowledge it, and honor it.
Thank you. Let's see. So next, just at home, if you have a second, you can pause this and take a look. We have a time capsule activity to kind of move forward, where you pick 3 items that you would like to release into the world. For some people, it could be masks, other things that you just want to let go of. And that's a great way to just acknowledge the things that you have and then kind of just release that.
Yes, and I'd like to add, Louie, that definitely part of moving forward is releasing. And a time capsule is something we can use for ourselves, with our families, with, um, our kids or grandkids. It's just uh, like thinking, okay, like masks you mentioned. I would love just to get rid of that right now. Maybe depression, anxiety. Okay, right now I'm letting that go. That might come back, but it is something that I want to release right now.
Perfect. And that leads right into your talk, Jean, a little bit about resilience.
Resilience. It's a word we're hearing a lot lately. And so we're learning more and more about it. So first we are acknowledging where we are, kind of releasing what we don't need right now. And then that also brings us to resilience, whereas we are learning and refining our coping skills, that helps build our resilience. And according to the American Psychological Association, as you can see here on the screen, resilience is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. And that can include any kind of family or relationship problems, health issues, and work financial stressors, and can also include what's going on in society, because that's it's like layered. We get layers of stress. And so each time we are working through that and learning new coping skills, we're building our resilience muscle. And then that kind of brings us to what isn't resilience. Things that we're not, ways we're not coping well. And just kind of as two examples, kind of on a continuum, or you talk about avoidance, just totally ignoring everything. And that kind of can go into what we call a toxic positivity. It's everything, you acknowledge everything's happening, but everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm not doing anything different. I'm just staying positive. Go back to acknowledging how we are feeling. And also with the avoidance, still it's not a denial, it's acknowledging and knowing that balance. Some days I may need to just kind of stay home and do what I need to do. Other times I may need to get out a little bit more. So it's keeping that balance. So we're talking about self-care, coping skills, and resilience. Really, coping skills include a lot of different things, and it includes self-care. So as you're reading this at home, I'm just going to also read it. Self-care includes intentional activities, and it helps to keep ourselves from burning out. And we have coping skills. We all have gone through things, so we have them already. And so what those help with are helping to manage stressful situations and overwhelming emotions. And those together combine into resilience and helping us adapt to different situations. And this next slide we have, I love this. This really is a good visual of thinking about it. Self-care, and we hear a lot about that, is a part of coping, is a way of coping. And those two together, as I mentioned, help build our resilience muscle. This is another fun visual that Louie and I like. It's our mental health jam jar. So just think of your mental health as being a jar. And we all have one. And we use the vulnerabilities and stressors as fruit, strawberries and raspberries, because it's colorful and it's fun. So think about it. If we just talked about different stressors, individual, like mental health, our physical health, families, the society, all those kind of get built up, as you can see. So what happens if we're constantly, sometimes things are just added to the jar. And if we are not intentionally adding coping skills and self-care to the jar, that jar gets too big and it might burst. So what we want to do is maybe think about the jar as something made of cloth or rubber that is expandable. So what we can add to the jar intentionally are coping skills, like talking to friends or seeing a counselor if you need to, or exercise, whatever it is. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later, about what helps you cope. And I do want to point out the cheerleader chutney. Well, we haven't figured out what that is exactly yet, but I do like that image. Okay.
As Jean was mentioning the different kind of coping strategies, there are, adaptive coping strategies and sometimes maladaptive. Never want to say something is good or bad, but something that, keeps you up. And so, getting enough sleep, we hear that you get your 8 hours of sleep. You should get sleep that's good for you. Some people function perfectly fine at 6 hours or, whatever. And we stress on our team doing things that are for you and not for everybody else. And so that includes what nutrition looks like for you, what movement and exercise looks for you, financial habits. Maybe your financial values are different than other people, and that's okay. And so these are just a brief list of some coping strategies to kind of practice. Coping strategies are practicing, and so is self-care. No one is ever inherently good or bad at coping. And with that, some questions to think about at home. This is think about what's working for me right now. What isn't working for me. Maybe you're going on walks more often and you're engaging with conversations with your friends and family more intentionally, and that's working really well for you. Or maybe you are engaging in a lot of conversation and you realize you're being more drained, and so maybe the social aspect isn't a great coping skill for you. What did work for you but doesn't anymore? So pre-pandemic, maybe lots of exercise really helped you feel great. And now you're thinking, I really only can do it two days a week. That's what I have, and it's perfectly great. You have what you have, and you should do what feels good. And then what's a new coping strategy that you've discovered? This could be meditation, being more intentional about how you spend your time, and where you allot your energy. Something that our team loves to talk about is your realm of control. You might have heard this as a locus of control. And so this just talks about knowing what is in your control versus what isn't. We know we can't control the news, but sometimes we let that eat at us because we forget that we can't control the news. We can only control what's in here, what we do. We can't control what even our friends and family can do. We can influence them, but we can't control them. So that awareness can help build your action plan on how you can develop coping skills and self-care that works for you, because that's for you. The only thing you can control is you. And there's a cute little image of the little brain that's releasing the things that they can't control, such as the what ifs in life, and then holding on to the things that you can control. And I think that's a great image to just think about. Yes, I can't control if other people wear masks or not. I can control if I do that. I can't control the world as it is, but I can control how I cope.
Yes, you know what, Louie, I love that. That's such a fun image, and you're so right. We tend to think I can control my kids, I can control my grandkids, and that's not necessarily true. It can just add more stress to ourselves. So what we can do is influence. You know, we can talk to our family what's important to us, and you know, to our friends and our neighbors. So that really helps a lot with being able to help focus ourselves on our own coping skills and strategies on how what we can and can't control.
And practicing that helps you find joy. So this is for you.
Yes, joy. That is something that is definitely a muscle we think is important to build. So being able to choose your attitude and knowing that each day maybe choosing something that is joyful or makes you smile. I love the ocean. I love the fish. And thank you, Louie, for adding that. Just something like that feels nice. We hear a lot about gratitude, and that's important every day, saying thank you. Thank you for something. You know, I'm thankful for the squirrel on the tree outside. Another way is every day, every week, practicing wellness. And for a lot of people, getting outside, it's on your patio. That's important. That helps just to replenish us. And staying curious, keep learning. That's another thing to be thankful for, another way of bringing joy. And as we mentioned, keeping a joyful attitude, and which is a nice segue into the next slide, the big joys and little joys. This is another spot that you can pause if you want. Think about this for yourself now or maybe later and talk to family or friends about it. We can name our big joys like family and children, grandchildren, our health, our home, a lot of the big joys we can name. But taking a breath and thinking about the little joys, like I mentioned, the squirrel on the tree, that just makes me smile. What makes you smile during the day? And it's okay to smile, even the world is getting, we think, out of control. But it's okay. You can smile. You can find joy because that replenishes us. And one way I think about it is it also gives your brain a little break, a little respite. You know, we are so focused on, holy cow, you know, what do I need to do? What do I need to get done today? This is really stressful. How am I going to do everything? And every time that you can smile or give yourself a little joy, it gives your brain a little break. Build your joy muscle and your resiliency muscle. Something silly, wearing two different socks, or just kind of wearing some fun socks, you know? You know, when I look down at my feet, I think, holy cow, I have different socks on. It's just kind of fun. So there's lots of different ways and also individual to each of us. All right, what do we have next, Louie? This is our other time capsule activity. Now think of a time capsule again. We released and we acknowledge where we are. We think of coping skills. We think of resilience, self-care. All of this is together. And we think, our team thinks that we really do take care of ourselves more than we think. And as we say, it's not, you know, stopping taking a bubble bath or it's, you know, preparing a 3-course meal every day, but it is also in the little things. Think about 3 items you want to keep. What I think about is Zoom. You know, I have a love-hate relationship. It is great. I love being able to connect. And then sometimes it's too much. So I have to step back and say, okay, and I'm going to get off the computer right now. One thing I am grateful for is that it has enabled me to stay in contact. It's, you know, we see my siblings and we see each other every week. So that's something I would like to keep in my capsule. This is another place that you can pause the video and think about it or come back to it later. And another activity that you can also use with your kids, grandkids, or family and friends. What's our next slide? Our gratitude slide. Thank you very much for joining us. We always enjoy doing this, and we are always learning. Louie, do you want to go ahead and send us out with any of this information, just kind of reading it?
Yep. So Jefferson Center for Mental Health, their phone number is 303-425-0300. That's the general line, and you might be sent to navigation. And then we also have a location, the crisis center. We have plenty of locations like in Evergreen, all around. And then the last number is the Colorado Crisis Services, which is 24 hours. 24 hours, 7 days a week. And that is 1-844-493-8255.
Excellent, thank you, and everyone have a joyful day.
Thank you, everyone.